Hello, happy Sunday. It is almost 9:30 p.m. Pacific time here in Los Angeles, and I thought that I was going to record this video earlier today, but my day ended up going into some really unexpected and fun directions, which I'll share with you today. And unlike a lot of the videos, I actually have a bit of an agenda. I was just taking Evie for a walk and giving some thought as to what I was going to say, and a lot has happened since the last video. It's pretty amazing. This week felt like it went by fast, but yet so much occurred in that time. But first, I'll catch you up to speed on a few things that have been going on. We had Memorial Day weekend last week, so if you had Monday off, like many people did, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm trying to think what I did. I think actually I was in a bit of a funk, to be honest. That's been happening a lot lately for me, but it's been good. I think it's because I've been processing a lot. There's been a lot of changes, both for me, both personally and professionally, and also in different elements of my personal life, which I've alluded to a couple videos ago. So yeah, I don't remember what I did. I meant to go out and do something else, and I think I just ended up spending the whole day at home relaxing. And the rest of the week was a bit of a blur. There's some really exciting things developing for me with my business that I can't wait to share with you. I'm very close to being able to make the announcement about what's going on, and it feels like it could be a really big thing for me, so I hope it will be. I think I could turn it into a big thing, and regardless of what happens, I'm really thrilled for the opportunity that I've been given. So I can't wait to share with you all about that. And, as a result of that, it's just been affecting a lot of different things that I've been working on, and I'll lead into some of the emotions from this past week in a moment, but I just kind of wanted to summarize. I went on this amazing retreat, which I'll also share with you in today's video, and I did that Thursday afternoon and just got back yesterday, and it's just been such a blur since then too. Like the past 24 hours have felt, or like 48-ish hours have felt like, I don't know. It's amazing when things start to shift in your life, how time completely shifts as well, your perspective of time, your experience of time. As for today, I actually ended up going to church twice, and I really would love to dig more into my church experience, and that'll be sprinkled in throughout this video, because so much of the message that I want to share with you today has to do with that. And I know that a number of you are really curious about that, so I'm excited to get in there. And I just didn't expect to go to church twice. There's two services through the church that I've been going to. One of them is at 10:30 a.m. at one part of the city, and another one is at 5:30 p.m. And I was really excited to go this morning because one of my closest friends decided to go with me. And I'm not going to name names, so I won't say the gender or anything like that, but this friend came, and it was such a fantastic experience, and I felt so overjoyed to bring this friend with me and to hear about this friend's experience there. But it was a bit rushed because I had to go immediately from church. Actually, we stopped and had coffee with some of my church friends, which is awesome. There's this really great coffee shop that I've been going to after church every Sunday, and that's become like a fun routine. I've been drinking coffee more frequently, which is really interesting for me. I've just been enjoying the taste and the experience of it, and just seeking out like really good coffee shops. So after that, I rushed off to an event that my friend Tess Masters had at Williams-Sonoma in Beverly Hills. Tess, if you're not familiar with her work, is amazing. She runs a brand called The Blender Girl, and I love watching her in action. She can tell you pretty much anything about blending food together. So if you're curious about it, if you have a blender of any types, you will probably absolutely love her, and her recipes are so good. She made like this incredible, I think it was like a white bean dip. She made a orange poppy seed muffin smoothie. So delicious. And then a zucchini avocado soup. And it was just fabulous. So that was really fun. I met up with my friend Maria there, and then we went to this new place called Pomegranate. It is an all gluten-free, vegan, mostly local and organic ingredient based dessert bar. And I guess dessert bar is what you would call it. And if you're visiting LA or you live in LA, you must check this place out. I've been Snapchatting about it. If you're not following on my Snapchat, that's the best place to stay tuned. And I'm hoping that I'm going to start uploading Snapchats to the What a Vegan Eats YouTube channel sometime soon, so you can catch up on the ones that you've missed. But pomegranate's just gorgeous, and I love their desserts. And then Maria wanted to go to church, so we ended up going, and it was a fantastic experience. So because of her, I went to a second service of church. I got to hear the message again. I got to see more friends, and I basically just got home. Well, I went to the grocery store in between, so it feels like I just got home. And I'm about to go out again to go watch Game of Thrones. How many of you watch Game of Thrones? I love that show. I'm always so excited to watch it on Sundays. Okay, so it just occurred to me that I have a ritual with a friend of watching Game of Thrones, and that's not going to happen next weekend, because next weekend I'm going to be out of town for this experience, this opportunity and development with my career that I will tell you about. So you might be hearing from me in like the bedroom of a guest room of somebody's home next Sunday. Hopefully I don't get off track with recording a video. If I do, I apologize for that. But I think I will stay on schedule because I've been doing so good with it. So that's a little catch up about things that have been going on. What I wanted to share with you was how church has really impacted me emotionally. And this is something I'll probably expand upon in a lot of different videos. It's been a really interesting experience for me because I didn't think that I would ever be the type of person that would go to church. I didn't consider myself someone that was religious. I didn't think that I liked organized religion. And, Christianity has been in and out of my life. I knew a little bit of the Bible stories. I've known Christian people. My grandparents were Christian. A lot of my relatives are Christian. My parents chose not to raise me and my sister as practicing Christians. And so I just didn't think that it was something that I liked. Going to this church has really changed my perspective, but the biggest impact that it's had for me has been the people. I go to this church mainly because of the amazing people that attend there, the amazing people that are part of the church in terms of the worship music and the pastors. And now there's like all these groups that are offshoots of the church. So on days that, there's 6 of the other days of the week, aside from Sunday, there's all these things going on now. And I'm building this amazing community. Last weekend, one of my church friends really encouraged me to go on a retreat. There was an all-women's retreat happening in Santa Barbara, and she kept telling me how amazing it was. And it turns out that somebody canceled her ticket last minute, so there was an opening. It had been sold out for months, apparently. And when this opportunity came up for me, I felt a little bit of resistance because I guess I've just been feeling a little bit unsure. I don't know that many people from the church, or I didn't at that point. And I don't know, like the idea of going on a retreat with a bunch of women I didn't really know and spending the money to go on this retreat, taking the time off, it just kind of felt uncomfortable to me. But my friend really encouraged it, and they even worked out to give me like this great discount on the ticket. And it got to the point where I just didn't feel like I could say no, even though it was slightly uncomfortable for me financially because I hadn't been planning for it. And there was different ways that I wanted to allocate that money. I felt like I should just say yes to this. So I decided to surrender and say yes and just trust that this would be a good thing for me. And throughout the days leading up to the retreat, my friends kept asking me, are you excited? Are you excited? And I was like, well, I'm looking forward to it, but I don't know what it's going to be like. So how can I be excited about it? I mean, there was like barely information. I knew we were going to stay in cabins in Santa Barbara somewhere, and that was going to be all women. And that's pretty much all I knew. And I ended up driving up with a girl I didn't know, and that created a little bit of nervousness for me because I get a little bit uncomfortable being around people I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm afraid that I'm not going to like them, or they're not going to like me, or I can't open up or express myself. And so kind of like have these stories built up in my head, and I've been working really hard lately to let go of that. And turns out this girl was awesome. We had a ton of things in common, and she's still figuring out her place in the church and all of that, and how Christianity is affecting her life, and so many things. And we spent 2.5 hours driving up to Santa Barbara on a Thursday afternoon. It was beautiful, and I some of my first experiences in California were in Santa Barbara when I was nannying for a family out there. And so I was feeling like this wave of familiarity driving up there, and just like bringing back all these memories of the times that I've spent in Santa Barbara. And so it was just so sweet. And we pull up to this incredible campsite. It was definitely glamping, meaning like our cabins were super nice, and they had like plumbing and little kitchens, great bathrooms. They were just beautiful. Fireplaces, electric fireplaces built into them. If you were following me on Snapchat, you saw that, and it was just magnificent. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable going to when we first pulled up, because when I got there, a lot of the women had already arrived. And as the car pulled up, I brought up my bag. I kind of felt like I was being dropped off at camp in front of all these people I didn't know. And they were all kind of looking at me. And I was like, don't look at me. Like, I don't know you. I just want to like walk in and be anonymous. And I knew that I had to stretch myself and just be okay with the fact that I had to meet all these new people. So that's what I did. I just went, and they were so accommodating. It was catered by a woman that's part of the church, and she went out of her way to give me like amazing vegan gluten-free meals. So I had this beautiful salad waiting for me, and I just sat down at the table, had dinner with all of these amazing women, and just opened up to it. And we did some church-related stuff there, like some different sessions with some different messages based in the Bible that were really helpful for me as I'm learning more about all of that. And then we all just hung out. They had s'mores, and sadly I didn't come prepared with vegan marshmallows, so I just kind of like hung out with the girls as they ate their s'mores. And we had wine and just talked and got to know each other. And I started learning all sorts of new things about other Christian women's experiences. I have so many questions about Christianity and what it means to be a Christian woman, so many facets of it. So that was wonderful. The next day we got up early for me, which is like at 7:30 a.m. I'm normally a very late riser. We went on a hike, and we ended up hanging out with some lambs and some goats and some llamas, and it was the sweetest experience just being around these animals. And the atmosphere, the park, or what I'm trying to say, all the nature around the campsite was so beautiful. There's like mist floating in and green grass, and they had an organic farm off the campsite. That was pretty cool. And then we just had breakfast. They had a coconut yogurt chia seed pudding with blueberries on it waiting for me, which was so good. And we had another session. Then we had lunch, which was just like some simple sandwiches. And we went and had a pool party, and we just like hung out, and I just bonded with all these women. And there were times where I felt myself really stretching. I felt myself getting out of my comfort zone. So there was a part of me that kind of wanted to like hide away and not get into the social situation, but I had to become comfortable with being social for a day and a half and not being able to control my schedule, introducing myself to these women and trusting them and opening up to them so that they would open up to me. And just, I don't know, there's just something about that felt like such a big stretch, and learning so much. I mean, it's still an interesting experience for me hearing all of these different messages that come from the church. Some of them really resonate with them. Some of them don't. And it can feel challenging for me because a lot of the women are so into it, so much to the point where they're crying, they're weeping over these messages. And I'm sitting there thinking like, why am I not crying? And I actually thought a lot about how this related to going vegan for the first time. And I've been really processing like how I can translate a lot of my experiences, getting into the church and Christianity with with veganism, because I see so many people like trying out veganism and feeling so awkward and having so many questions. And I think it just kind of applies to any big life change that you make. Anytime you step into something new, it's uncomfortable and it's scary and you feel alone and you feel like you're the only one that has these thoughts and these questions in your head, right? So it's been really good for me, but it's been hard. Saturday, though, just got so magnificent. There so many things that happened. One of my favorite parts was they had us write down, the pastor had us write down all the things that we wanted to let go of. And I'd actually be happy to share with you the things that I wrote down. I don't remember them all off the top of my head, except I believe the very first thing that I wrote down, these are basically things that you wanted to give up to God. Like you wanted God to help cleanse. I don't know if I'm verbalizing it quite right, but that was how I interpreting. There's actually a quote from Romans 8, for those of you who have Bibles. It says, "We are more than conquerors through him who loved us." And this is so much about like God's love helping us heal. And that to me is such a soothing message about Christianity. So the things that I wrote down that I wanted to conquer and I wanted God's help conquering were anxiety, number one. Before I went on this trip, I had a business experience that caused me a lot of anxiety. And I actually drove to meet up with the girl that I was traveling up with, like feeling so anxious. And I was feeling shame, and I was feeling like I wasn't good enough. And I was just, all of these emotions were flooding my mind and my heart. And I knew that I wanted to work through that. And that was been a big mission of mine. I want to conquer fear, which is also connected to anxiety. Inadequacy, which is connected to all this shame. Hesitation. I find myself being hesitant, like going on the retreat, I was really hesitant. I almost missed out on this amazing experience. I want to also conquer resistance, very similar to being hesitant. Limitations, so any ideas of my own limitations as a person. I want to conquer disconnection. So my desire sometimes to disconnect from myself, to disconnect from other people. I really want to work through that. And lastly, shyness, which is also connected to disconnection, is I often feel very shy around people. And one of the biggest takeaways I had from this event too, or this retreat too, was that we often build these stories in our head about who we are. And one of them that's been in my head was that I'm an introvert. And I introduced myself to people as an introvert, or this is something that comes up pretty frequently. I don't know. I must have said it in a video before. I'm really introverted is what I'll say, which means I need time to myself to recoup. Or, if I spend too much time with other people, I just get overwhelmed and I want to leave. Or I'm really quiet around people sometimes, and I don't like a lot of attention placed on me. These were like these things that I started to accept about myself. These were the things that I told myself. I just created this whole story. And what's interesting is as I've started making new friends and new people have come into my life, and I've told them these things, I've noticed there's been like a pause, and they're like, "Really? I don't see you like that. Are you sure that you're a shy person? Are you sure that you're introverted?" Like they've been bringing this up and kind of like confronting this person who I thought I was. And over the weekend during this retreat, I had a conversation with somebody when I was talking about this, and she said, "Well, I think God really wants to stretch you." And I found myself so resistant to that idea, not to the idea of being stretched, but to the idea that I might not be introverted. I might not be so shy. And I might not be who I think I am. And I guess for all of us, and this is probably something you can identify with, is I'm trying to figure out who I am. Am I really who I think I am? Or are we never really who we think we are? Is there things beyond us that we are evolving into? And if we focus too much, if we're so attached to an idea, a story of ourselves, how much is that limiting us? This seems like a pretty obvious concept, but sometimes it takes somebody to really say that to us and to shake us and to question us for us to really examine who we think we are. And it can also take things like faith to examine who we think we are. And lastly, it can take us trying to be something other than who we think we are to figure out if we are that or not. So for me, I had that whole list of things. I wrote those down, and then as a little ritual on this retreat, we threw them into the fireplace. We let them burn up. We're kind of giving them to God, and just that simple act of that lifted so much weight off of me. And I left that retreat the next day feeling so free, feeling so peaceful, feeling so at ease, feeling like I didn't have to take all this weight on me. I didn't have to carry around anxiety. I didn't have to feel any of those limitations. I didn't have to consider myself as a shy person or disconnect from people out of fear. All these different things that I was doing, I realized I didn't even really have to worry about them anymore, and I didn't have to feel so attached to them. And I want to explore who I am without all of that. And it's felt so powerful. And going to church twice today, the day after I got back from this retreat, really felt amazing. It helped me stay connected to all the energy. And I could go on, but it's been 21 minutes. I'm supposed to go watch Game of Thrones now, so I'm going to wrap this up now. I feel like I got out a lot of what I wanted to say tonight, and I hope that resonated with you. I've been reading all of your wonderful comments. They mean so much. I'm going to take some time to start responding to them more frequently. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. You know, being Christian and going to church is so new for me, and it probably feels new to you too if you're not doing that, or simply because I'm doing it and you're seeing a whole new side of me. You're getting to witness my evolution, transitions, and all of this different growth. And that's what this channel really is for me. And I hope that my journey inspires you to think about your own journey and how you want to implement these things and think differently about yourself and try new things, and really just to stretch outside of your comfort zone and who you think you are. Because all of us have the potential to become incredible, expanding human beings if we put our minds to it and we open up our hearts. So I would love to hear from you today on anything that resonated with you, any notes. I've been reading private emails from you and private social media messages on platforms like Snapchat, and they mean the world. So please continue connecting with me publicly or privately. You never know how you're going to impact my life and other people's lives, especially when you post publicly. So never hesitate. I'm here for you. I deeply value you being here for me, for listening, to keep coming back every Sunday. Sundays are becoming a really, really special day for me, and these videos are a huge part of that. So thanks so much. I will see you next Sunday. Maybe sooner if I get inspired. So stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you're the first to know when I have a new video here. And you can check out my other channels. They're linked to you down below in the description field, along with all of my social media channels, my newsletter, my website. I would love to just stay connected with you in all the different ways that you feel inspired to be connected to me. Okay, until next time. Bye.